Everyone, welcome to today's video. So before the patch rolled around, I made a short build video showing off how somebody had basically recommended that I try the assault turret and the assault drone. And so I put together a build: 3 Murakami, 2 Hana-Yu pieces, and 1 Wyvern using glass cannon and combined arms. And I asked for a lot of recommendations. A lot of you gave all kinds of recommendations. I'm going to be looking back to make changes. I went and got my force multiplier backpack, Hana-Yu, which is the one that's going to give me even the perfect combined arms. So that's something definitely on my list to actually roll the right way and add to the build. Now, one important thing is a lot of people were really stressed out about this build potentially being nerfed when I made the build video. And one thing I just want to say is, if a build is getting used excessively, the developers usually notice. I think this build paradigm was not really getting used as much, and its damage output, it was not as good as some of the other damage output or damage stoppage like the blind. And so when they started seeing how people were actually running missions in 20 minutes, they weren't seeing these builds. So these builds were largely safe from the chopping block. And what even is crazy is the builds got buffed. I mean, which is insane. They buffed the assault turret and then they buffed Spike. So it seems like there's a push, or they are wanting to provide an incentive for people to use a build like this. Now, one really interesting thing that I would say is, one thing about this game is metas constantly shift because the developers make artificial changes to make the game feel like a new game from time to time. In fact, I think this is one of the more major-ish patches that we haven't had too much of a difference or too much of a change in the way things work. They haven't taken everything and flipped it on its head. They have added new talents to the game, but they haven't necessarily flipped everything like they did from TU7 into Warlords of New York, where they basically removed all talents from all pieces except backpacks and chest pieces, and then different kind of weird stuff as well. Now, there's another thing too about the bugs that showed up with the Season 2 purchase, where people were able to get those rewards, which is basically a big miss on their part. And my opinion about that, I guess I'll share it in a different video. Stay tuned for that. But one really interesting thing too is, with the improvement of these new skills and the improvement of player power, I think many players can actually switch their play style and just modify it a little bit and not really miss out on the power that they initially had while they were playing with their old builds. Or they could just sit with the build that they've already had and enjoy the fact that those builds have basically been improved currently. So what I'll encourage for those of you who may have lost your blind or may have lost some other whatever, if you're still playing and you haven't basically quit the game, is I'll encourage you to basically go in and try out some of these other skills and see what they're made of. You never know. With the plethora of skills that we have in the game, in regard to crowd control, damage, and all kinds of stuff, you might find something that suits your playstyle. I'm not saying this build will fit your playstyle, but it is worth experimenting so that you can see exactly what exactly what would work for you. There are people who would tell you they never use the assault turret; they use the sniper or the artillery turret. The turret is actually has very wide use for those who may have lost their chem launcher capabilities with the fire starter and the riot foam. You have the oxidizer that will take you away from status effect territory into skill damage and a different kind of use, and even in my opinion a different enemy archetype. So if you're playing legendaries, the oxidizer would definitely come in handy because you can fire them directly to where the enemy support stations are, and you can chew the support station health away while your team focuses on other things like DPS, maybe even some crowd control, and a host of other things. So this is basically my video about this particular build. I appreciate you guys for watching the video. I'm going to be making improvements with this. Hopefully I have some time to jump into some legendaries, but it's such a busy week for me. So this week will really be a lot of light playing, but hopefully I can jump in with some more, extreme hardcore grind if I have the patience. And hopefully I'll be bringing you guys some new content and just pointing out a few things that might be helpful for, returning players or even players who have a very busy schedule and just, would like to get some tips to just shorten their time running around and trying to figure out stuff. All right, I'll talk to you all soon, hopefully. Thank you for your time and audience. I guess we'll see you in another video. Peace.